Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today we are going to talk about staying financially afloat. I feel like this is a topic that we are all concerned with right now. Everything is inflating in price and our paychecks don't seem to be keeping up with the increases very well. So I'm going to share with you some of the things we've done to try to stay financially sound. Now, we all know that acquiring as much as we can at today's prices is a good idea because the price of goods never remains stagnant. It is always fluctuating and usually in the upward direction. With inflation taking off at the current rate it is across the world, we can surmise that prices are going to increase at a more rapid rate than they have in years past. So what can we do about it besides purchasing items we will need for the next 2 years, food included? Well, one of the first things you can do is learn to become as self-sufficient as possible. Once you have some food, water filtration, and other prepping tools stocked, you want to learn some skills that will sustain you. That is how people managed to survive the Great Depression. They were resourceful and thought outside of the box. They learned to stretch the little they had. So let's apply that thinking to some of the things we are responsible for today. One of the things you can do is learn to make repairs yourself. There are many YouTube videos out there on just about every kind of issue you have and repair you may need to make. My husband has repaired our refrigerator, washing machine, changed his spark plugs, and replaced faucet cartridges, all from YouTube videos. You can also learn to do basic sprinkler repairs, winterize your sprinklers, and turn them on again in the spring yourself. Taking care of these items will reduce the cost of an expensive licensed professional, and it will empower you with a new skill. Anything you can learn to do yourself is going to save you money. One of the things you can learn how to do is cut your own family member's hair. I took care of my husband's during the lockdowns, and I have to say, it may have taken a little longer than the professional, but it looked just as nice. As these fees increase, and they will, these are things we can take care on ourselves to reduce expenses. Another thing that I have taken on myself is grooming my dog. I know a lot of us have dogs that we take to a groomer, and those prices can be pretty steep. If you learn to trim them yourself with some basic grooming supplies, you will be surprised at what you can accomplish. If you missed my video on prepping for your dog, I showed you some of the supplies I use for that task that are inexpensive and will make grooming your dog a lot easier. You can also familiarize yourself with clipping your dog's toenails. That's a skill you should have in case of an SHTF, where you can no longer get them trimmed by a professional. Something I want to touch on briefly is sharing household expenses by living with other family members. Whether this is a sibling, elderly parents, or other relatives, this can be a great way to reduce spending. I have a video coming out on this topic at the end of the week in which I will go into this in greater detail. I have personal experience with this one, so I can let you know some do's and don'ts to navigate this situation more seamlessly. Speaking of sharing a household, another thing you can do is share expenses of memberships. I have mentioned this before in one of my first videos, but I think it's important to reiterate it once again. Big box memberships like Sam's Club or Costco can really help stretch your budget when it comes to food and household supplies. Many times you get larger quantities for less than the price in the regular grocery store. A couple of weekends ago, I picked up a large jar of mayonnaise in Walmart. It was only 48 ounces and they wanted $7.64. I immediately put that back down and said, I know I can get that cheaper at Sam's Club. So I pulled it up online and sure enough, a 64-ounce jar for $6.98. It helps to know your prices. If you feel like something is a little high, pull up the price elsewhere before you just throw it in your cart. As preppers, we should have spares put back anyhow, so it's not like we don't already have one or two in our prepper pantry. We can cut back on expenses in other ways as well. We can learn to take leftovers for lunch. This is actually even cheaper than purchasing lunch meat, bread, and cheese these days for sandwiches, and it gives you a little more variety in what you're eating. We can learn to turn the heat down at night to reduce those costs and ensuring we turn lights off when we aren't in a room. Another big one in helping reduce energy costs is to save up and replace old appliances with energy efficient ones, especially your larger appliances that use a lot of power like your refrigerator, washing machine, and dryer. You should also pull your refrigerator out every 6 months or so and vacuum the backside. If dirt and dust accumulate around the coils, it can cause it to pull more energy than it needs. Not every refrigerator has condenser coils, but many do. We need to make getting out of debt a priority. Now, I know a lot of us can't help carrying a mortgage, but as long as you have that on a fixed rate, you're going to be in fairly good shape. But when it comes to things like credit card debt, you want to get rid of that as soon as possible. We all know that credit cards are not truly fixed rate anymore, and they can send you a notice at any time explaining why they had to increase the rate. Learning to keep the balance paid off each month will go a long way to stretching your finances. Another big one is maintaining good credit. You want to have the best rates possible, and keeping your credit in good standing is the easiest way to do that. Driving older vehicles is also a good way to stretch your budget. Both of our cars are older and paid for. Car payments will drastically reduce your spending power. You do need to keep those older vehicles in working condition, however. Making sure you maintain oil changes, rotate your tires, and have a basic inspection by a quality mechanic each year will ensure they stay in top-notch shape. Lastly, I wanted to mention that you should consider purchasing some physical assets like precious metals to have as a hedge against inflation. Many in the prepping community have discussed this, so I will leave it brief. We all know that cyber attacks are being mentioned daily as a possibility, so these would help preserve your wealth. Never allow them to sell you a certificate or to hold the metals for you. You want to take possession and use a reputable company like JM Bullion. I'm not affiliated in any way with the company. I've just used them several times in the past, and I know they send you exactly what you ordered. I suggest keeping printed copies of your financial records as proof to use in the event of a cyber attack, but there's no guarantee they won't tell us those funds are unrecoverable. I look at it as trying to prove you had some paper with another piece of paper. I'm not saying it isn't a good idea to have that proof. I've told you to do so in my How to Prepare for a Cyber Attack video. It's just I believe we should have other assets as well. So that wraps up my list of ways to stay financially afloat. I hope this has helped you today, and if it has, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.